Hello guys, this is Yara here, and I just wanted to do a little top 5 decks of the February/March ban list. So yeah, if you wish to compete at a high level in the TCG, then this is gonna be the top 5 for you. So at top 5 we have Dragon Link. I'm the Dragon Link master, as you guys know. Some of the cool things about Dragon Link is that the pros is that it's very consistent. It can almost always end on a seals. That's like the bare minimum. But on top of that, you can end up on like a Savage, Hot Red, and a Tiding. So, and a couple of hand traps in the hand. One of the cool things about Dragon Link is that a lot of people don't realize this, but a key component of Dragon Link is being able to end up on a lot of hand traps. Not only because you get to grab them from your Chaos Ruler. So if you mill something like a light or a dark hand trap, you can add it to your hand. So that means that Lancia can be main decked pretty well, because Lancia is gonna be one of the best hand traps in the format. So Lancia happens to be light, so it's good if you want to main deck it in Dragon Link. So you can take advantage of that. You can also add Nibiru, Veiler, Meister, so many hand traps that you can add on Dragon Link. Phantasme may be another hand trap. It's dark, it's a dragon, and almost every single popular deck nowadays uses Link monsters. So if you want to add Phantasme to your Dragon Link deck, that's gonna be very good. I would recommend it. So one of the negative things of Dragon Link is that the end board is not really that crazy. It only gets crazy once you add Chamber to the mix. Once if you can end up on a Tiding, because that means that now you can no longer lose to stuff like Dark Ruler No More or Droplets. So I would recommend you not to cut the Chamber/Tiding package, because otherwise you're just gonna get blown out by like Dark Ruler No More or Droplets. So, but yeah, so that's the pros and cons of Dragon Link. That's why I have Dragon Link as my top 5. So yeah, so now if you want, we'll move on to the top 4 deck of the ban list, and I would say that would be Tri-Brigade. And all the versions of Tri-Brigade, I'm still not convinced on which version is better. We have the Pure Tri-Brigade, or the Lunalight Tri-Brigade, or the Lyrilisk Tri-Brigade. So you may need to do a lot of testing to see which one is the best for you. A couple of things about Lunalight is that you can end up on stuff like Tornado Dragon with the Scythe set. You're able to pop Scythe in the standby of your opponent's turn, so they'll be locked out of the extra deck. So couple of cool things that you can do with it. So Tiger coming off the ban list is huge for this deck. So yeah, so diversity is huge when it comes to Tri-Brigade, because you don't really know which version of Tri-Brigade you're fighting up until like once you're in the middle of the game. So otherwise you don't know like how to prepare for it. So one of the negatives about Tri-Brigade is that you cannot really run the Brave package, because you're so dependent on your normal summon monsters effects. So yeah, and it can break, especially because Tenki is at 1 now, Desires is at 1 now, so all your consistency cards are slowly getting hit, so that's lowering the consistency. So that's one of the negatives, but it's still a very strong deck that can end up on stuff like a Revolt set, stuff like an Appaloosa. So, or you can even add the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer package to your deck. So a lot of ways that you can take this deck. So Tri-Brigade, you can expect to see Tri-Brigade topping in the future events. So Tri-Brigade for number 4. So for number 3 we have Prankit. So Prankit has been topping ever since Meow came out in the TCG. I mean, it was already seeing like huge success even while the Dragon Link was full power. So, and that's because the Link 1 is so crucial to the strategy. It means that any kid can basically give you full combo. So, and now with the Brave stuff coming out, that means that you no longer lose to a single Ash or a single Meister or a single Gamma, because you can chain block your kid. So couple of cool things to do with it. And now you don't lose to Nibiru either, because you have an Omni Negate with the Griffin with the Brave stuff. So the Brave stuff is absolutely amazing on Prankis, because you don't really have any normal summon effects. So yeah, and I've seen a lot of people add the Souls package as well. So that's another thing that you can incorporate in your deck. So it may require a little bit of testing. So another pro that prank kids have is that it's very consistent. I mean, any single kid is full combo basically. So yeah, you may just need to run like the numbers to see what you prefer the most, and they can run a lot of hand traps too, or a lot of like hard going second cards like droplet and stuff like that. So you may need to like do the numbers and see what you like the most. So yeah, prank kids as number 3. And now for the number 2, I have Sword Soul. Sword Soul got 2 hits in the ban list. It got Protoss banned, and it also got Pot of Desires limited, but that still does not take away from the pure power that he had. A lot of Sword Soul players that I talked to after the ban list, they were telling me, hey, we're already cutting Protoss. You know, a lot of people weren't even running Protoss in the main deck. They were siding it to play against specific matchups. So I don't think Sword Soul got any weaker. If anything, now that they're doing a lot of Halki Firebrax combos, so you may be seeing a lot more emergency teleports, ogres, and a lot of more like techs inside the Sword Soul deck. But I believe that the main strength of Sword Soul is the fact that not only can they run a lot of hand traps, they're very consistent. I mean, if you play this deck or if you see this deck in action, you're gonna realize that it almost never breaks. You almost at least have like some place. So the pure consistency of this deck is like almost unmatched, honestly. So, and it's great at going first and great at going second as well, because you have cards like Baksha that's able to shuffle cards from your opponent. So you have Baron, which is able to pop a card from your opponent when you get to go second, and Baron is good going first as well because it's an Omni Negate, so it is very good. So one of the cons, not really a con, you can't really run the Brave stuff on it because you kind of do need your normal summon effect a lot of the time, so it's not like necessary, but you almost want to have that option to normal summon like a Moe or a Tai and use the effect. So yeah, but Sword Soul, I mean, I would not be surprised if it gets first place at all the future events coming soon. So you better be prepared for Sword Soul. Be ready to side in the Token Collector and all the Lancias and all those cards that are good against Sword Soul, because Sword Soul, trust me, you'll be seeing a lot of Sword Soul in the near future. So but before I get to the number 1 deck that I have right here, I want to just do like a couple of honorable mentions or some decks that you should probably watch out for, because if one of these decks ends up winning in the future, I wouldn't really be surprised, and I'll tell you guys why. So one of them is Virtual World. Virtual World benefits a lot from the emergency teleport coming out to 3. Not only that, but with the Punk art type, they're able, with the Punk cards that came out, they're able to tech those in, adding a bit more consistency. Now they get to end on like an imperm like effect, so the end board gets a little bit crazier. Not only that, but they can run the Brave stuff like pretty good because they don't really have any normal summon effects. So Brave is so good on the deck, but it's still like the negatives are still there. The same negatives that have always been there in the past, which breaks a lot. You run into that problem where you can raise the consistency by running cards like Prosperity, Upstart, Foolish Burial Goods, but that means that you have to cut your going second cards like Droplet or Hand Traps. So you have to either decide, do I want consistency? Do I want like good going second cards so I don't get like scythed or I don't get like FTK'd when they set up like a big board? So you kind of have to find the middle ground, and I mean, I like to play like in the middle ground where you have a bit of both consistency and going second cards, but then you brick when that happens. So if you're able to find like the perfect ratios, then I think you're gonna have a lot of success with Virtual World. So you gotta watch out for Virtual World. I mean, it's as consistent as it's gonna get. I don't think it could get more consistent than this. I mean, they did lose some consistency with Pot of Desires getting hit, but that's like an indirect hit. So, and another deck that I want you guys to watch out for is the base deck. The base deck. A lot of people don't know what base stands for. It stands for Brave, Artifacts, Souls, Enforcer, and Dragons. So they basically incorporate a lot of techs in one deck. Their main goal is to end up on like a Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, a Herald of the Arc Light, and a Scythe set. So that means that during the opponent's standby phase, they're able to pop the Scythe, and then you can't even droplet the Enforcer, because Herald of the Arc Light has this passive effect where monsters cannot be sent to the graveyard. They get banished instead, so you can't really pay costs by sending monsters. And you may be like, why does that matter? Well, that means that since they cannot send monsters, that means that you can respond with Herald of the Arc Light, negating the droplet. So you gotta watch out for Based, because it's a very explosive deck. They get to like take advantage of basically all the good stuff that's right now in the format. They don't really like stick to one single thing. They just run a bunch of good things in one deck. So, but their end goal remains the same, ending on like Herald of the Arc Light, Scythe, Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. So, and then going second, you know, the usual like access code and OTK. So yeah, you gotta watch out for the base deck. So I have those two decks on the decks to watch out. But now, the time we've all been waiting for. What is the best deck in your opinion, Yada? What do you think is the #1 deck in your opinion? But before we get to that, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I am about to get to my 1-year anniversary. I think it's gonna be like in 2 or 3 weeks. 1-year anniversary since I've been uploading videos here on YouTube, and we're already at 4,000 subscribers and almost 1 million views. Almost, like we're like 3/4 of the way there. So I want to thank you guys for like watching the videos and subscribing. So please hit that like and subscribe button. But yeah, now for the #1 pick, I have Phantom Knight. Phantom Knight. I mean, I've seen people like downplay Phantom Knights, but I really don't understand where they're coming from. I mean, let's look at the pros, right? They can run stuff like Brave, they can run Scythe, they can run DPE. They do not lose to Droplet at all. So they have a lot of ways to play around Droplet, so they can still Scythe you even through a Droplet. So, and even if they were to successfully Droplet the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, you still have 1, 2, or even 3 Fog Blades set, so you're not gonna be losing that turn. And then you have a lot of follow-up: Torn Scales, Cloak, Boots. I mean, you name it, they can OTK so easily. I mean, Brave, Scythe, Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, they benefit a lot from like some of the best things in the format. So I believe that Phantom Knights is the deck that we gotta be watching out for in the near future. So you gotta be prepared for it. A couple of things that you gotta be siding in for it will be like Lancia. Nibiru is not enough. Nibiru is not enough. They're able to set up Appaloosa, and you can Nibiru them before they set up Appaloosa, but they're just gonna be able to turn that into a Link Spider, and then they're gonna be able to keep comboing off from there. So I don't think Nibiru is gonna be enough. Lancia is very good against it. So yeah, and then you gotta find ways to get around the Scythe that's not Droplet. So stuff like Call by the Grave, DD Crow may be good to hit the Scythe. So preferably Call by the Grave. I know it's limited, but because DD Crow can be useful, but that's assuming they don't have stuff like Appaloosa in the field. That's assuming they don't have stuff like the Griffin in the field that's able to negate the DD Crow. So or the Call by. So yeah, I mean, this deck is scary. Like, this deck is scary. You have 1 turn basically to be able to break their board, and if you don't break the board and OTK them, you're gonna be losing once it comes back to them. So Phantom Knights is, for me, without a doubt, the #1 deck right now. So that's why I want you guys, do you agree with my top 5? Number 5 we have Dragon Link, number 4 Tri-Brigade, number 3 Prank Kids, number 2 Sword Soul, and number 1 Phantom Knights. Do you agree with my top picks? I want to know what your opinions are on the comments below. I mean, just put your what you think is the best deck, what do you think the top 5 are. But it's gonna be an interesting format. I think Konami should have probably banned Scythe. That's a mistake that they made, because Scythe is a format defining card. I'm almost 100% sure it's gonna get hit in the next ban list, but in the current ban list, we're gonna have to deal with it one way or another. But yeah, that was it for me, guys. So as always, guys, this was Yara here, but I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.